Today I'm here with Chuck Wiseman, the Wiseman Law Firm. As a matter of fact, this video is being sponsored by Wiseman Law Firm, right?
That's right.
That's correct. Chuck is an attorney who's been here a long time, but just hold on. How many of your attorneys out there have this in their office? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. You're officially on Hilton Head Island. So why don't we start with, where are you from?
Originally, believe it or not, I'm from Fremont, Nebraska, which there isn't a lot of use for these in Fremont, Nebraska.
That's true.
But an interesting story about me, my parents came to the island in 1978 on a vacation. And when they came here, they stayed in Palmetto Dunes, and apparently that was a new development at the time.
Wow.
And they fell in love with it.
Okay.
And then they brought our family back to vacation. And in 1981, they ended up purchasing a second home here in Sea Pines. So I've been coming to the island since I was about 5 or 6 years old.
Not a whole lot going on back in 81.
No.
I mean, the North End, well, it was being developed.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, even how you would come to the island,
Yeah.
you wouldn't, I mean, I-95 did not connect.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
And so you had, at the time, you had the turnstile bridge to come onto the island. But I had a lot of memories. I learned how to sail a sunfish sailboat right off my parents' beach, and crabbing and everything else, and kind of grew up down here as a kid, which is fantastic.
That's great.
And then when I was in college, I would come down here and spend my summers with my college friends working here. Mm-hmm. I did that for maybe 4 or 5 summers doing that.
Okay.
And then went to law school, got out of law school and said, you know what, I think I want to make this permanent.
Good.
So in 1999, I came down here full time.
And where do you live now?
I live in Sea Pines with my wife
thought.
Elise and my 2 boys, Joe and Benjamin.
Okay, that's great. And the type of law that you practice is obviously real estate.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's probably our primary practice is a real estate transactional practice.
Okay.
We also do some estate planning, general estate planning, and then we also have a fairly good business transactional practice as well. It's establishing business entities like LLCs, corporations, things of that nature, and then representing some local businesses as well.
Okay. Well, we have a lot of clients that are leaving the North or Midwest, and they're leaving their attorneys behind. And this is part of this whole Lowcountry Connect program where we have these professionals down here. And any nuances of real estate transactions? I know we talked a little bit about title insurance.
Yep.
I get that question a lot. Do I really need title insurance? Take it away.
Well, first of all, South Carolina is very unique in how we handle real estate because by law, you do have to use a South Carolina attorney to represent you in a real estate transaction. And that involves any transaction where real estate will be used as collateral. So that would be in a home equity line, a refinance, purchasing of a home, and also the selling of a home.
You need an attorney.
You need an attorney to represent you in that transaction. A lot of my clients, they're used to, in their home states, of using a title company to actually help them through that process.
Right.
And the process is generally very much the same. Most of the law firms here have the title company built in.
Okay, you're right.
So basically, we handle the
So
exact
you've got
same.
the title company.
Yeah, and we have the title company built in. We are the ones that also will go ahead and issue the title insurance as well.
Okay. And would you say that a lot of people that are buying real estate get the title insurance?
Yes.
They
yes.
do.
We do recommend.
After your little spiel.
Right.
Right?
Right. And I get the same thing. I spend a lot of conversation with clients initially of them asking about title insurance and, do they need it? And so maybe I can kind of help clear some things up with that regards. Title insurance is basically, it's a one-time purchase at the time of your closing for a purchaser that essentially protects your title for as long as you own the property. So we get a title search at the time of purchase that goes back 40 years and checks the title. It's also called an abstract. And we use a company that basically works out of the courthouse, and they check all the tax rolls and the judgment rolls, and they check all the title, and they go 40 years back to make sure you have what they call clean title, good and marketable title.
Mm-hmm.
Then the title insurance basically insures that title work.
Okay.
For as long as you own it.
And down here, it's important because of just who owns that property, or owned that property, right?
That's right.
Really
That's right.
important.
And I think this is a little bit unique because here properties do tend to change hands quicker than in other parts of the country. Sometimes with second home ownership or investment property, which would be condos or things like that, it's not uncommon that someone, sells it after 3 years, every 4 years. Where in other parts of the country, someone stays in the home for 25 years.
That's right.
And things like that.
Right.
So, with the amount of frequency that property turns over, that's when you kind of can see, yes, something can get missed. Something can get, a lot of times we see it gets misfiled in the county records. We ran into that during the COVID times when there was a big delay in getting documents recorded, and then when they were able to get them recorded, they would sometimes get misindexed, and it wasn't an all the time occurrence, but it can happen.
And there's fraud out there.
Yes.
There's people that are stealing people's identities. We've seen this. I've mentioned on a couple of videos that they're trying to sell a lot, and they stole the identity of the person who owned it. And I mean, it got a little interesting.
Yeah.
So have you seen that?
Yes, I've seen it, and I've actually had some firsthand experience where it's actually tried to happen and got very close to the transaction actually closing, and we were just luckily able to catch it.
Was it a lot or a house?
It was a lot.
Yeah, a house would be tough, but a lot.
It was a lot. And the crazy thing about it, it was not only a fraudulent conveyance, but it was also a 100% identity theft because of the actual owner. The fraudsters had their social security number.
Yeah.
They had falsified photo identifications, but the driver's license number and all the information was 100% accurate of what they had. And so it was very, very difficult to try to uncover it.
Yeah, sure.
But then all of a sudden something just didn't feel right,
and
we were able to kind of do some more research, and sure enough, we were dealing with a fraudulent seller. That happens. And I've been to a lot of seminars about this where they talk about this, and it was funny in the early years when this was just first starting to surface, they would bring in some speakers and they would say, you really have to look at this as, not if it happens, but when it happens.
Wow.
And a lot of my colleagues, I can tell you, most of them have had to deal with in some form or another of fraud that's out there.
And speaking of fraud, you have to be super careful on the wiring instructions.
Correct.
Is that right?
Correct.
I mean, back when I was maybe 6-7 years ago, I would just give a piece of paper. Yeah, just wire it to the attorney. But no.
Right.
I mean, you have to contact them first. Is that it? And give them the wiring instructions.
Yeah, and actually, we just started a program called Certified ID, and that's a whole wire verification software platform that we have implemented here at our firm. That we send a text to the client along with an email. They have to answer, I think it's like 4 questions, and they have 2 minutes to answer them because they use AI technology to kind of do a quick background check on who you are. Yeah. And only you would know the answer. Like they would be like, the question is like, out of these 4 cars, which ones have you owned before?
Oh, is that right?
And like only you would know that you would have that. A fraudster, they couldn't do that in that amount of time. And then once it verifies who you are, it will then securely send you my transfer instructions. And if you use those, then it verifies that you received them. And if for some reason there was some sort of fraud with that transfer, it's insured for up to $1 million.
Wow.
And honestly, it was one of those situations where we were running into, it was like, you can't afford not to have this software going because it's just, it's so important. And the numbers get big in a hurry. Right. And the losses can be catastrophic.
Yeah. And, Chuck is here. We'll handle listings and we'll handle the buyer's side. You do the same thing, right? I mean,
that's right.
A lot of realtors. You work with a lot of realtors.
That's right. That's right.
You got to know everybody on the island.
I don't know about everybody, but
okay. You know the important people.
That's right.
What else do we need to know about Wiseman Law Firm? What would you say? Great location. We are the Sea Pine Circle. Is like I could hit a pitching wedge and hit it, right?
That's right.
Close.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I would say the other thing too is like I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the team of great people that I get to come to work with every single day.
Okay.
I have two of the best paralegals in the business that have been doing this for a very long time.
That's good.
And are
Really
literally at the height of their craft. They're the ones that keep me moving. They're the ones that keep this machine rolling.
Yeah.
Betty Parks. I've been working with Betty for almost 20 years.
Wow.
When I first started as an associate at another law firm,
Mm-hmm.
she was a paralegal there, and then Chris Booth joined us in about 2019. I believe she came on board with us, and I'd worked with Chris previously as well, but they have been doing this for a long time, and they are fantastic.
That's great.
And then I have Joanna Albertson as a post closer and file opener, and she's been doing it forever as well, and been working with me, and she's the one that really helps out in the file for the recording documents, that last set of eyes before we clock them in for recording and things like that. So it kind of takes all of us to kind of pull it together, but I'm super lucky to have such a great team.
And one thing that you did mention to me is majority of your closings people are not here.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's kind of a common thing, and I think what's really hard too is what's interesting for this area is we do not do round table closings. So when I first got into this business, I worked for a company that did commercial transactions here kind of in this area, but I had to do a lot of training up in Atlanta for about 2 months. And I had to sit in on some closings, some residential closings. And my goodness, everybody sat around a table. You had buyer, seller, agents, lender representative.
I think that's what, people watching, that's what they're used to.
We had these big round, slide checks, slide keys, everyone was there. Well, here, and I think it's just because of logistics. Generally, you don't have a Hilton Head seller or a Bluffton seller selling to a Bluffton purchaser or a Hilton Head purchaser.
Right.
So it's hard to get someone from Pittsburgh and someone from New Jersey to look at their schedules and say, can we all get at the same place at the same time? Right here. That's everyone kind of works through their closing attorney to coordinate that process. And I think a lot of times is, yes, clients may be here, but they may not be here on the actual closing date. And so a lot of times the actual day of closing, it is handled remotely through a DocuSign signature, through the wire transfers happening. With loans, it can be a little bit different. We can do by power of attorney or even mail away closings. Mail away closings are a little harder because then the clients, and I'm talking about a purchaser, the clients actually have to find notaries and witnesses where they are, and that can sometimes be a little problematic. But generally there's notaries available for them.
You've seen just about everything.
Just about everything.
I don't want to say everything.
Right.
But, well, that's great. We're glad you're on the team. We've got a team. We needed an attorney. We got Chuck. We're happy about that. Insurance brokers, mortgage brokers, home inspectors, all kinds of things. So I encourage you to come down, find your dream home. You will meet Chuck, and we'll do another couple of videos and cover some legal questions. If you have questions, just put it down below in the video, and we'll answer the question. So come down and see us, find your dream home, and meet Chuck.